What's up, everybody? Bike Builder Bear in the house. I've got a garage full of bicycles, but I'm doing another video on the Grom clones. This video is specifically on how to get your Grom clone to run as smooth as a Honda. Because these bikes are awesome, but there's a couple of things that need to be addressed in order to get them to just run with that smoothness. And they're not, most of them are not extremely hard to do. Most of them can be done pretty simply. And a couple of them, you're going to need a welder and some welding experience. But that being said, I'll go through a quick list that I got right here of what those things are, and I'll kind of lightly explain this. Number one is the clutch and shifting, which I've got a video out, one of my previous videos, of a clutch fix. I've also heard that if you do a hydraulic clutch upgrade, that you'll get piston push far enough to actually completely actuate your clutch. I have had a small debate with a gentleman with a really good channel that said that he has no shifting issues in any of his or his friends' 5 Grom clones. They just adjust them right. And I've been doing motorcycle junkyard and garage mechanics for over 35 years, and I've adjusted this every way, and I've talked to hundreds, possibly thousands of people, and the biggest letdown of these bikes is the shifting. So fixing the clutch is definitely, I would say, number one, because if you can't get through the gears correctly or smoothly, or if you're an inexperienced rider, especially, it could be very discouraging for these bikes, especially when they warm up. So, that being said, I have a previous video with a clutch fix. What I have deduced on most of these 125 clones is that you are not getting enough proper clutch actuation. No matter how you adjust the clutch, if you pull it in all the way, it's not enough to get through the gears, get in and out of neutral good, especially once it warms up. And then if you set the clutch to where you can get in the gears like butter, where you got enough pull where when you pull it backs the clutches off enough to where it freely shifts through the gears, it will smoke your clutch in 3rd and 4th gear. And this is a problem that I've even talked to with a guy that sells these things. That in his recommendation is buying a very expensive hydraulic clutch kit, which he even stocks. And again, I'm not throwing out names out there because I'm not promoting or dissing anybody. And the other gentleman that says that he can adjust these clutches correctly to where they shift smoothly, and he says he has a procedure. I've asked him to make a video. He still hasn't made a video yet. I mean, this is kind of me calling his BS. If he's watching my videos at all, I'm saying I'm calling BS. But please, anybody out there, if you know a way, because I have looked up on forums, I have looked up on the website for these things, for the motors, a couple of different chinky websites, and all the procedures for adjusting the clutch I've tried over and over and over and over, and none of them work correctly. What works is the procedure I know, which is basically really similar to doing an old 80s style dirt bike or this Harley Davidson right here, which is not hard at all. It's pretty simple to do a clutch. You know, all of that being said, sorry for my rant, but I'm waiting for that gentleman or someone to actually come out with a solid video of, oh, how to adjust this clutch. Please, please, prove me wrong. It would be nice, because I've got a really simple fix that makes it easier to pull the clutch, and I get full actuation. I get this thing smoking hot, I get neutral every time. I get every gear every time. My shifting is smooth, and it took me only about 45 minutes to do my fix. So, that being said, clutch right away and the shifting on these things is a must to get smoothed out, because as soon as you smooth out the shifting, immediately you're gonna feel high. You're gonna feel on that Honda level. You're gonna feel the confidence in the bike when you can shift and you can count your gears and it feels solid, and you know that you could dump your clutch and you're not getting clutch slip, especially in those third and fourth gears. So the next thing that I definitely recommend, and I being a heavier set guy, 5'9", I balance anywhere between 200 and 220 pounds depending on how much beer and how much junk food I'm eating. But I took apart the forks the first week I got them. I think maybe the second week, almost right away. I pulled apart the forks because they were just sloppy. It's not that they didn't have enough spring; they would just go like hitting a lead pencil. It just very, very, very soft for someone my weight, and it was actually making the bike a little intimidating in corners, because I'd go to take a corner and the front would just want to bottom out and not support me. And I was going to look into upgrading the springs, but I had some fork oil from my Harley Davidson rebuild of the front end, and I just replaced the fork oil with some real progressive fork oil, and it made an amazing difference. And I've had people go, how the hell does a change in oil change the ride height? Trust me, change the oil out of the forks into a thicker oil. You will get anywhere from 1 inch to 1.25 inches of more ride height, okay? And the performance of the shocks will be unparalleled compared to before, just with thicker oil. And it's simplicity. You can go ahead and buy upgraded forks. I recommend it. Buy even a Grom set of forks, put them on. But if you just got, the low budget special going on, you know what I mean, you don't have money for all that jazz, just get some fork oil, tear them apart, make sure that when you drain the oil, you drain every single drop into a measuring cup, to where when you mark the line of where all the oil settled at, to where when you go and fill it up, you're putting exactly what you put in. Now, it will not hurt if you put, say, 1/4 ounce or 1/2 ounce more, but there is a chance, if you're excessive weight, if you're heavier than me, you might start making the fork seals leak and purge oil around the forks. So just something to think about. Then the next, immediately to get your clone running as good or better than a Honda, is you're gonna have to buy a carburetor, buy a full exhaust system, and delete the emissions. Don't be afraid to delete the emissions. Make sure that your fuel line breather breathes up by your headset, up there. Don't let it hang down. You want it up high. And make sure that the back crankcase oil vent, you get a line and an oil breather filter up by the headset too. It's good to have it up like that. That way, if the bike tips over, if you're into wheelies and stuff, you got a lot of tube for oil to build up and travel before it wants to spit out and do anything funky in any weird situations. But you're definitely going to want to immediately eliminate and delete the emissions. I don't know why they do them on motorcycles. The state of Arizona spent millions of dollars in several years proving that even terrible motorcycles that spit black oil and stuff produce almost an unregisterable amount of emissions. So don't feel guilty about hurting the earth. You want to keep your motorcycle from hurting the earth. Keep it in tip-top tune. Make sure that it runs perfect and you're burning every little bit of the gas you can. Yes, emissions elite and delete, and I would immediately upgrade the carburetor. I'm not discriminatory in which way you go. I've got a Mikuni on here. It works. I want to get a Nibby, but I just don't feel right spending that money at this point because things are really messed up in today's potato head, kid sniffing, child flavor ice cream economy. So I've got a Mikuni, the VM22, and I've took the time to adjust the jets, and I've also got a cam in there too. But to do the emissions delete and get your carb and your exhaust set up will immediately take the bike from around a 40 to 45 mile an hour range. Honestly, I don't care what your speedometer says. These bikes with the stock stuff are only doing 40, 45. I don't care if it says 70. I don't care if it says 60. I don't care if it says 50. All of the stock speedometers suck. They all suck. Even on the Hondas, a lot of them don't read correctly. But yeah, stock with the Hummingbird carburetor that is basic. I've seen those carburetors on lawn equipment, but those Hummingbird carburetors and all that stuff have to go because you need to get the speed up. If you want to feel like a Honda, if you want to ride like a Honda, if you want to be able to keep up in traffic and not feel like a sluggo or like you're dogging, then you're gonna have to up the carburation. You're gonna have to do that, and it's not expensive. Then, honestly, to get that extra 8 to 10 miles an hour, and to where you're not shorting out fourth gear all the time. I know that there's new models coming out with fifth gear, and the 125s with fifth gear, and the 190s and the 212s with fifth gear. But for the 4-speed 125 clone right out the box, get the 17-tooth sprocket so that you can keep up. It lengthens your gears a little bit. It makes a big difference. And that's very simple to do. And I would also recommend upgrading your chain as well. You need to upgrade the chain. The chain that comes on these bikes, I swear to God, they only put the chain on to where it has a chain. That's the quality. Oh, well, this is a chain. I mean, it's basically the same quality as a chain that you would see on a conveyor belt at a food processing factory. It's not good at all. After doing that, you will notice speed, more vibration, and the bike will start literally shaking itself apart. So buy a big thing of Loctite, buy lock washers, and even invest in new hardware. If you have the time to take some nuts and bolts off and go down to your local hardware store, get some grade 8 or stainless steel or stuff like that, I recommend it, because that's one of the key things where they saved money. I'm telling you, this ain't no myth. The clone, okay, and the Honda are made in the same factory on 2 different lines in the same building in Thailand. Okay, so yeah, that's one of the things is hardware. Upgrade hardware. And with hardware, you're gonna want to do the motor bolts. You're gonna want to drill out and put in 3/8 bolts with the same length that came in. And that will eliminate a good amount of vibration. It won't eliminate all, but it will help. And going back to what I said about the 17-tooth sprocket and the 3/8 bolts, do not have your chain too tight. If you're doing these modifications and riding this bike and your chain is not adjusted right, you will rip your motor mounts. I will be talking about this in a minute. You will need to do frame repair if you do not heed this warning. But definitely to get that smoothness, or to get more smoothness, to get closer to that feeling of the Honda, you're going to want to do the 3/8 motor bolts. And then my recommendation, if you can get the bolts and all this other stuff done and you don't have welding ability, get to know someone with a welder. Start looking around, make some friends, find someone with a welder, or go to Harbor Freight and buy a mask and a welder for about $200 for the cheapest wire core soldering, wire core feed, wire, cheap, Harbor Freight welder. You don't need to buy a MIG welder. You don't need a TIG welder. You can do it with a wire core, 90 amp. You know what I mean? Set it at high, have your wire speed low, make sure everything's clean, but do the third motor mount. I do not at all, and I will never ever recommend the bolt-on motor mount. I don't care what kind of weird drilling or gussets or no. The bolt-on aluminum motor mount is a showpiece for the Grom, and even on the Grom, I don't recommend it. It's the way that it's designed, and I've got a previous video. It's just like a set of handlebars on a BMX bike and a gooseneck. There's a point where no matter how much you clamp down that aluminum, it doesn't hold enough. It doesn't have enough. Even if you had 76, CNC aluminum with grade 8 bolts and you torqued it down, you're going to compress the tubing. The tubing isn't that strong, So either way, it's going to give somewhere, and the only way to do it right is to weld a plate on for your third motor mount. And hit me up. I would be glad to give anybody not give, but for give me a couple of bucks. I'll make you a clutch cable reposition plate. Give me a couple of bucks, and I'll cut out a freaking third motor mount plate for you and send it to you. You're paying for shipping though on all of that. But definitely the third motor mount. That with everything else that I have just said makes my bike feel as sturdy, stiff, reliable as the Honda. Okay. The only thing I'm waiting for is one of my friends to get a Honda to where we could do some side-by-side tests with my modified compared to the regular Honda, just to see if there's anything that like, oh shit, look at that. I mean, we know that it's a clone. It's not the Honda, but that's why I'm here making this video, because we can make these clones just as good and better than the Honda. Like I seen a post recently, a guy said, oh man, I just sold my fixed up 125 clone. I couldn't help it. I went to the dark side. I'm getting that Honda because I wanted the 5th gear. And I thought to myself, wait, you had that nice fixed up clone with the 125 and you sold it to go pay a bunch of money? I would have rather got the Daytona or the Piranha 212 with the 5-speed, and then you'd be smoking all the Hondas. I'm sorry. That's the way I am. Believe me. The thought of getting a Honda Grom and sticking a CB or CBR 300 motor, like I've seen some of these guys stick some of these wild motors on there. Hey, that sounds cool to me. I'm not a hater. I'm just a clone guy. I bought a clone. So, and then my last suggestion for making your clone as reliable, solid, and feel as good as the actual Honda is the gusset plates on your motor mounts, which I have done the most important one so far, which is the right side. That's the side that gets yanked opposite of the chain. Again, if you got the third motor mount done, take some time and try to get the side gusseting done. There's guys out there that do this stuff. There's information out there on how to do it, and that's how I did mine. Is I just looked and copycatted everybody else, put my own little thoughts in, changed what I thought needed to be changed. Not much, but it's that simple. If you want your clone to run tip top and literally give the Hondas a run for their money, shake them down, follow these tips. Another recommendation that I recommend is do the Z40 cam. I've got a video on how to do that, and if you do that, do not put the cam in and leave the stock springs. you will get absolutely no performance. Okay, what you'll get is you'll get valve float, where the valves start floating, okay, and not closing all the way, and you won't get the performance that you're expecting out of that cam that you bought on eBay. So last little tip. So apologize for my technical difficulty in the beginning there. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing. Thank you to all my subscribers. Thank you. I can't say it enough. You guys inspire me. You guys have been leaving a lot of comments lately. Please reach out to me if you're interested in getting the gusset plate. I'll make you a gusset plate. If you want the third motor mount plate, I'll make you a third motor mount plate. I'll be fair on my prices. You'll pay for shipping. I'll do the clutch relocation fix plate, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to make millions of dollars. I just want people to recognize that I love what I'm doing, and I'm not trying to give bad information. I'm trying to help and promote the community out there. And believe me, the second I get my hands on a Honda, I'm going to be doing videos like this, how to make the Honda better. You know, if I ever do. You know, in the second that my motor is 212, that's what I'm going to be promoting, because I just promote what I can get my hands on, because I'm just a lucky country boy. Rhinestone City country boy, I guess. But anyways, thank you very much for watching. Please like, please subscribe. God bless. Have a great day.